You cannot have happy, healthy, loving relationships unless you are willing to die. Welcome to Christianish. My name is Keisha Rice. I am a dating coach and hypnotherapist. I help women learn how to attract healthy, loving relationships and to break from their unhealthy dating and relationship patterns. And this is the podcast for women who have Bibles but don't necessarily have boundaries. And this whole idea of dying, I was reading in 1 Corinthians 15, and Paul's talking about dying daily. And I was thinking about what that means, this concept of dying daily. Because if this is your first time listening to me and you don't know my story, I grew up Pentecostal. I grew up a preacher's kid. So, the Bible is full of all of these examples or all of these verses that talk about dying to your old self or, living for God and dying to the things of the world. But in addition to, learning the Bible, growing up and all of that, one of the things that I studied in college, I studied several things, but one of the things that I studied was religion. And this is a universal concept. This whole idea of dying to the things that aren't aligned with the life that you want. And doing that means understanding that the life you truly want is going to cost you. And it is going to cost you the life that you have now. Just like, again, the Bible talks about you can't serve two masters. You can't serve two lives. You can't be unhappy with the life that you're living now and still try to live that, because that life is at least the devil you do know as opposed to the devil you don't know, while you're also trying to go out here and live your ideal, most aligned life, which is nowhere near what you're living right now. So when it comes to dating and relationships, there are a few things that you are going to have to die to in order to truly attract the romantic love that you want. One of the things about your current life that may have to die, and again, if this doesn't apply, let it fly. Maybe all of these don't apply to you, but I guarantee you at least something I'm going to say will apply. So one of the things that you're going to have to die to is being male-centered, is thinking that a romantic relationship will solve, if not all of your problems, at least some of them. And thinking that being in a romantic relationship will make you happier. Because don't get me wrong, I am married and I love my husband. And yes, there are ways in which he makes my life better. At the same time, my husband adds on to the happiness and the good life that I already built for myself. I created that foundation of a happy, fulfilled life. And I then went and looked for a partner that added to that. I didn't look for a partner to be my happiness, right? And too often I work with women who are waiting for a man to come along in order for them to live life. They'll say, oh, I can't wait until I get married so that I can get a house. even though they already make enough money to get a house on their own, right? Or I can't wait to have a boyfriend or have a husband, have a partner so that I can travel. And it's like, sis, nothing's stopping you from traveling now. I'm married and I still travel solo all the time, right? I can't wait until I get a partner so that I can try this restaurant or go to this place or explore this area. Again, nothing's stopping you from doing those things now. And the thing is, if you were to stop being so focused on what might happen when you get a man and to start focusing more on the things that would make you happy and the things that you would enjoy doing and go do those things, you would exponentially increase your chances of meeting this man that you're waiting for. Because one, getting out more will help you meet more people, right? But also, in that process of going out and doing the things that make you happy, you will show up as a happier person. You will show up with more light. You will show up more radiant. And that will make you more magnetic and more attractive. It is when you are out here living your best life that you will get approached more often. So if you are struggling in the dating pool, one of the best things that you can do is spend more time with yourself. The other thing that you need to die to is societal expectations. So that means letting go of the idea that something is wrong with you if you are not married or partnered by a certain age. It means letting go of the idea that you need to have a partner, period, or that that partner needs to be marriage. And I know that is going to be controversial for a Christian dating coach to say that. But let's just be real. You know, some people will end up with more of an Oprah and Stedman type relationship than a marriage, and they will be happy with that. And if that is what you want, then as a coach, that is what I work on helping you find. You need to let go of the idea that you need to get married by a certain age so that you can hurry up and have some kids. What if you don't want kids, right? You need to let go of all these societal expectations in order to truly figure out what it is that you want. Because in order to get the things that you are asking for, it comes with clarity. I used to hear all the time, again, growing up in church, about making your prayer requests known, right? And coming boldly to God and asking for what you want. And I started to realize that I was going boldly to the throne, right? And I was making requests, but the asking for what I wanted part was kind of difficult because I didn't even know what the heck it was that I wanted. I was asking for things that, I thought I was supposed to want. And then I was either not getting them and wondering what's wrong because I'm praying for these things and not getting them, or I would get them and then be less happy after the request than I was before the request, right? So part of having the life you want is knowing the life you want. And that means freeing yourself from expectations of claiming that you want things because that makes you seem like a good girl or a good person, because that's what your family or your friends want for you. So you think that you should want that too. Speaking of which, another thing that you need to die to is this idea of being a good girl. And I know this kind of fits in with the whole societal expectations thing, but I want to make it its own separate point. Because too many women are victims of thinking they're not allowed to set boundaries. They're not allowed to speak up. They're not allowed to express their feelings. And they're not allowed to tell a partner or a potential partner, someone that they're dating, what it is that they truly want in the relationship. And because of that, too many women end up in situations where they are in abusive relationships because they're afraid to speak up and they're afraid to leave. Or they're in relationships that aren't necessarily abusive, but they're not fulfilling, and they're in the relationship because they think it's going to be mean to leave someone who obviously likes them so much and who seems nice enough, right? Or they're in relationships with someone that they are attracted to, and this person does care about them, but they're still not getting their needs met in the relationship, even though they're with someone who truly cares about them and would meet their needs, but they don't speak up. And the person they're with is not a mind reader, because no one is, right? So they have the person that they're perfectly compatible with, but they don't have the relationship that they want because they won't open their mouth and ask for it. A fourth thing you need to die to is sunk cost fallacy. This is for my ladies who are already in relationships, but those relationships aren't happy ones, right? Just because you spent a long time making a mistake does not mean you need to continue making that mistake. Because I see this again all the time as well. Women will come to me and they are with an ain't-ish man, right? And they're asking me, how do I make this man act right? And then they get mad at me when I say, you can't. If he doesn't want to act right, he's not going to. And there's really nothing you can do about that. A person has to want it for themselves, right? But what you can do is choose not to put up with the foolishness. You can choose to leave yourself. And there are so many women who are worried about this idea that they will invest all this time, love, energy, attention, whatever, into a man. And then they will finally give up and he will magically become the right man for the next woman. First of all, normally when you see that in relationships, it's an act, because anytime we date someone, the first 3 months or so, we're not meeting them, we're meeting their representative. And this is not a push down on men, because women, we do this as well. You're typically on your best behavior when you first meet someone. It's human nature, right? So if you do end a relationship and see someone immediately move on and everything is happy and sweet and all that in the beginning, remember, it's the beginning of a relationship. It's puppy love. But also, again, a person won't change until they're good and ready. And yes, a man could, in the relationship that he's in after you, be a good partner, but that would be a function, if he truly changes, that would be a function of his growth and maturity coming along later. And there is nothing that you could do to change that, right? So instead of obsessing over that, you would be much better suited finding someone who is right for you and finding someone who doesn't need all of that work. Finding someone who's already done the emotional work himself. And the final thing that you need to die to is you need to die to being obsessed with the destination. Too many times I hear women talk about failed relationships because they were with someone for 3 months or 3 years, and either way, it didn't end in marriage. It really, I know this sounds cliche, but it really is not about the destination. It is about the journey. Your relationships are not failed if you learned something from them. If it taught you what you do want and don't want in a relationship. If in leaving that person, you taught yourself that you can walk away. And that you'll survive if you walk away. It won't be the end of the world. If You showed yourself that you need to do a better job at setting boundaries. Whatever the lesson is, if you're learning from it, it's not a failed relationship. And also, there's no such thing as a destination. I know we grew up watching fairy tales and Disney princess movies where they live happily ever after. But notice that those stories always end at the wedding and they don't show what marriage is like. And that is a whole new other chapter in your life, right? And when you enter that chapter, it comes with new journeys and new destinations. And again, it's never ending. So, back to this whole idea of what we talked about at the beginning of the episode about thinking that a man will make you happy. Happiness is a constant, I don't want to say fight or struggle, it is a constant journey, right? You will always have periods in your life where you're feeling a little low, you're feeling a little stagnant, and you have to push past those to find the joy again, right? So, yes, one thing isn't going to make you happy, and one destination, like walking down the aisle, is also not going to make you happy forever, right? So, if you learn to truly trust the process, but not only trust it, but appreciate the process, you will enjoy dating so much more. I learned so many things about myself during my single season that if I had been preoccupied by being in a marriage, I wouldn't have learned those things. And that's not to say that marriage is bad, because obviously I learned things in this season of my life too. But I've also learned to be fulfilled in whatever season I'm in. And I think that's a lot of what faith is about. You know, calling this podcast Christian-ish because there are certain times that I don't feel like I'm as quote unquote holy as as I was told I should be when I was growing up. But at the same time, you know, one of the things that I learned for me was that I really focused on, you know, less religion and dogma and all of that, and more on a personal relationship with God. And in that, one of the things that I've learned is that learning to appreciate the seasons that I'm in has, one, just made me generally happier, but it has also helped me grow so much, because when you're not obsessed with, let me do all these things to get out of this, and you're more obsessed with, what is this teaching me? There are just so many more growth opportunities there. So I want you to ask yourself, what is it that you need to die from in order to get the life that you want? What are the things that you need to let go of right now? And feel free to share those with me. You know, I'm on social media. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Keisha Rice. So message me in those places and let me know what you're committed to dying to. And if you like one-on-one help with that, then feel free to schedule a call and we can talk about working together in my coaching program, From Toxic to Thriving, and helping you die to that old life and attract a new life and a new partner. I'll talk to you soon. Love you. Bye.
This podcast is brought to you by Contessa Digital.